Hey there, curious mind or aspiring spy? Ever wondered what goes on behind the closed doors of global politics? The kind of stuff you only see in James Bond movies, but way more real? Let's talk about the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, and its covert operations. These shadowy missions have shaped history, toppled governments, and influenced world events in ways most people will never fully understand. Buckle up, because we're diving into a world of intrigue, espionage, and high-stakes gambles. First things first, what exactly are covert operations? Think of them as secret missions conducted by intelligence agencies to achieve specific goals without revealing who's pulling the strings. Unlike traditional military actions, these operations are designed to stay hidden, even if they fail. Why? Because plausible deniability is key. If something blows up, literally or figuratively, the government can deny involvement. The CIA has been running covert ops since its creation in 1947, and over the decades, it's become a master of manipulating events from the shadows. From funding rebel groups to orchestrating coups, the agency has left fingerprints all over modern history, whether we know it or not. Let's break down some of the most infamous and impactful CIA operations around the globe. Spoiler alert, not all of them ended well. In 1953, the CIA teamed up with British intelligence to overthrow Iran's democratically elected Prime Minister, Mohammad Mossadegh. Why? Because Mossadegh had nationalized Iran's oil industry, threatening Western control over the country's resources. Using propaganda, bribery, and sabotage, the CIA orchestrated a coup that reinstated the Shah of Iran, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. While the operation succeeded in securing U.S. interests at the time, it sowed deep resentment among Iranians, ultimately contributing to the Islamic Revolution in 1979. Talk about unintended consequences. The Bay of Pigs, one of the CIA's biggest blunders. In an attempt to remove Fidel Castro from power, the agency trained a group of Cuban exiles to invade their homeland. The plan? Spark a popular uprising against Castro's communist regime. Spoiler, it didn't work. The invasion was poorly executed, lacked proper support, and ended in disaster. Over 100 invaders were killed, and more than 1,000 were captured. Not only did the operation fail, but it also embarrassed the U.S. on the world stage and strengthened Castro's grip on power. Oops. In the early 1950s, Guatemala's president, Jacobo Arbenz, implemented land reforms that threatened the profits of the United Fruit Company, a major American corporation. Guess who stepped in? Yep, the CIA. Operation PB Success involved psychological warfare, fake radio broadcasts, and arming opposition forces to destabilize Arbenz's government. Within months, he was forced to resign, and a pro-U.S. dictator took his place. While the operation achieved its immediate goal, it plunged Guatemala into decades of civil war and human rights abuses. Another win for short-term gain, long-term pain. During the Cold War, the CIA played a pivotal role in supporting Afghan Mujahideen fighters resisting the Soviet Union's invasion of Afghanistan. Through Operation Cyclone, the agency funneled billions of dollars worth of weapons, training, and supplies to the rebels. On paper, this was a success. The Soviets eventually withdrew, humiliated. But fast forward a few years, and those same Mujahideen fighters morphed into groups like the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. Some argue that Operation Cyclone indirectly laid the groundwork for future conflicts in the region. Oops again. So how does the CIA pull off these cloak and dagger missions? Here's a peek under the hood. At the heart of every operation are spies, agents recruited to gather intel, influence key players, or carry out sabotage. Sometimes these agents are locals, other times they're Americans operating undercover. Covert ops require serious cash, but don't expect transparency. The CIA operates on a black budget, meaning Congress allocates funds without publicly disclosing how much money is spent or where it goes. Estimates suggest the annual budget runs into tens of billions of dollars. The CIA doesn't act alone. It often collaborates with organizations like the National Security Agency, NSA, Defense Intelligence Agency, DIA, and foreign intelligence services to share resources and expertise. If an operation fails or gets exposed, the U.S. government must be able to deny involvement. This means using cutouts, third parties, to create distance between the mission and Washington. Now let's get philosophical. Are covert operations justified when they protect national security, or do they cross ethical lines? Critics argue that many CIA missions have caused more harm than good, destabilizing regions and fueling anti-American sentiment. Supporters counter that sometimes dirty hands are necessary to keep the peace. Take your pick. Without covert ops, the U.S. might lose leverage in critical situations. History shows these missions often backfire, creating bigger problems down the line. It's a classic case of short-term gains versus long-term consequences. While we don't know the full scope of current CIA activities, that's kind of the point. Here are some areas where the agency likely remains active. After 9/11, counterterrorism became the CIA's top priority. Today, the agency continues to hunt down extremist networks worldwide, using drones, cyber tools, and human intelligence. In the digital age, hacking and cyber attacks have become new battlegrounds. The CIA reportedly develops malware and conducts online espionage to disrupt adversaries' infrastructure. As geopolitical tensions rise, the CIA is likely working overtime to monitor and undermine Russia and China's global ambitions. From election interference to economic espionage, the stakes couldn't be higher. While overt regime change efforts have fallen out of favor, whispers persist about covert efforts to destabilize hostile regimes. Venezuela, Iran, and North Korea are frequent suspects. The CIA's covert operations are a double-edged sword. On one hand, they've protected America's interests and thwarted countless threats. On the other, they've sparked controversy, fueled chaos, and raised questions about morality in international affairs. Love them or hate them, these shadow wars remind us that history isn't always written by the victors. It's often shaped by those operating in the dark. So next time you hear about a sudden political upheaval or mysterious cyber attack halfway across the world, ask yourself, could the CIA be involved? And hey, if you ever dream of becoming a spy, just remember, you'll need nerves of steel, a knack for secrecy, and probably a really good poker face. What do you think? Are covert operations a necessary evil, or should we demand more accountability? Sound off. I'd love to hear your take.